Okay, what's the story, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Today we have a very special guest on the show.
We have the host of House of Rugby podcast, Ireland and Ulster heartthrob, Andrew Trimble. Andrew, how are you doing?
Heartthrob. Nice one, fellas. Yeah.
No, well, you're looking fresh to me,
Looking a bit fresh. My wife cut my hair the other day, so
Gee, she did a good job.
she did all right. I had to tidy up there a little bit, but yeah, all good. Anyway, heartthrob is a stretch, but that's very, very kind of you, fellas. Thanks for the warm intro.
Tommy Bowe didn't mind that when we were saying he was good looking.
He didn't mind it. No, I'm sure he's probably more familiar with that sort of an intro. But I listened to the Tommy podcast. It was great. You're doing great stuff, fellas.
Thanks, man.
Well, if we got one Ulster winger, we need to get the other one,
Yeah, you have to balance things up. Put me
Oh,
on the
we do
right,
indeed.
put him on the left. Yeah.
There was a great story. There was a great story Tommy was telling us about you, Andrew, that he has 69 caps for Ireland and you have 70.
He was being very humble there because he's got 69 Ireland caps, but he's also got 4 or 5 Lions caps on top of that. So he's got like 70. The truth out of me.
he was teeing it up for you to give him the compliment, was he?
Exactly. Yeah. No. Tommy, obviously, Tommy and I go way back. So we, and I know he said this. We were very good for each other. We were bad for each other at times. In that we fell. We had some serious falling out on the pitch, on the training paddock, everywhere really. But we got the best out of each other, and we were good mates throughout the whole lot. So he was brilliant for me, and he moved away to Ospreys for a while, and then that competitiveness never really died down, because even when we were playing Ospreys, it was even more competitive than ever. So great lad, great competitor, unbelievable player, and I was very lucky to have that influence whenever I was playing.
Yeah, just a quick question, Andrew, as well. That's why, I never even thought about this, but that's why in the Premier League people see who's the top goal scorer, and then obviously when you see in the Pro 12 or Pro 14 now, the top try scorers. Would you always see who's on top and try and catch them?
Not really. And to be fair, I didn't really score that many tries. Like for Ireland, I think something like 16, 17 tries and 70 caps isn't a great return. Scored a lot of tries in the European Cup, and then obviously the likes of Tommy's leading the way, maybe Craig Gilroy, Tim Visser. A lot of those guys are kind of leading the way in the Pro 14. But no, I didn't really score that many tries. You could come to a couple of conclusions there. Maybe I didn't read the game very well, or
blame the centres.
Yeah, blame the centres. Yeah, blame O'Driscoll. He was rubbish, wasn't he?
He wouldn't give you the ball though. He was always trying to score his tries.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was jealous that your highlights were better.
Exactly. Highlights and gloves. That was a shameful period of Irish rugby led by O'Driscoll.
Absolutely. I heard he put them out on in your training bag, and he was like, "You have to wear them," and that's it.
Yeah, the gloves was a weird period. I'm trying to think of famous glove wearers. Brock James, the Australian guy who played at Claremont. Yeah. Andy Good was a glove wearer. Yeah. And O'Driscoll, I think the three boys just going at it whenever the novelty died off for everyone else, and they were still wearing their gloves.
Yeah, you never really see.
He was a strange one, Andy Good, wasn't he? Just like strange physique for someone who played fly half, wasn't he? He was like a barrel.
He was, yeah, and I think as his career went on, he kind of got bigger and bigger. But I think it kind of shows how talented he is, and his distribution, his passing, and his kicking were both incredible. And he did the rounds of a few different clubs, and he made a big mark everywhere he went, and played a little bit for England as well. So I think he knows the game very well. He's an old school. He's one of the last kind of old school rugby players. He's probably not maybe as athletic as as a Johnny Sexton, as a fire, but he was a guy who just relied on his distribution and his kicking. Serious rugby player and serious, left a big impact everywhere he went.
Yeah, big boot on him, man. He even pushed Johnny Wilkinson at times, which is, a lot to say at the time.
Yeah, massive. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what way it was now exactly. I can't recall that kind of period of English rugby. But yeah, he was certainly in the mix a few times, and it was his boot. Yeah, it was a big. I kind of at Welford Road, especially for Leicester. If you've got a big boot there, that's a short pitch, and he turned a lot of wingers and found a lot of grass in behind guys and tortured a lot of back three. So yeah, some player.
Yeah. Speaking of clubs, Andy, you played for Ulster and only Ulster from 2005 to 2018. What's it like just being a one man? What's the phrase? One man club.
Yeah,
one club man.
One club man.
To be fair, I only got maybe one or two opportunities to go elsewhere, and I did look at a couple of things. But for me, it was always. Well, I grew up playing schools rugby in Ulster. My dad was a rugby player, and my dad kind of always encouraged me, and he brought me along to Ulster games, to Ireland games. And for me, I was such a big fan growing up, and I was such a big Ulster fan specifically. I always kept options open just to see what was out there, and I always liked the idea of maybe playing in France at some stage. But for me, the thought of Ulster potentially winning something whenever I wasn't there, just the threat of that just tormented me, and it wasn't really worth the gamble. And as well as that, I felt really comfortable. My wife's from here. We're very settled, and my wife's a doctor, and she's obviously, her career is very important to her as well. And it would have had to have been something special to have moved away. And then obviously the way things are with that's with Ulster, but the way things are with Ireland, if you can be as talented as Zebo and still not be considered for selection, then it's really not going to happen. The only person who ever got away with it playing elsewhere and then still being picked for Ireland was Johnny Sexton, and Johnny Sexton's one of a kind. So that Ireland would have been gone altogether. And for me, I got a lot of joy towards the end of my career with Ireland, and I'm so glad I stuck around because it was worth the wait.
Zero regrets.
No, zero regrets. I don't regret, but I wish maybe I could have played somewhere else. Whenever I finished up summer 2018, so nearly 2 years ago now, that's nearly 2 seasons gone, I was looking at going to a second division team in France at the time. And for me, it was more about just the lifestyle. Played a little bit of rugby with a little bit less pressure than I would have been used to, and just get back to just enjoying rugby in its purest sense, with no strings attached, no journalist, not a high profile, second division in France, and nobody gave me a hard time after the game if things didn't go well. Just come back, and it was me and the family, and we just enjoy the lifestyle. That was my plan. And then whatever way it worked out, my back was giving me a bit of bother, a few injuries, and I was getting slower and slower. And I kind of thought it wasn't really worth it, and there was an opportunity here, business-wise, that came up that I wanted to get into as well. So I don't have any regrets, but it would have been a nice thing to have done for a year or two. For me, for rugby-wise, but more for the family, kind of just chilling out and just enjoying a couple of years before getting into the real world.
And Andrew, was there any other talk of you going to any of the other provinces, whether it be Leinster, Munster, Connacht? I know, Andrew Conway went to school in Blackrock and he's down in Munster. Was there any talks at any stage in your career, or?
No, not realistically, or not at all, actually. No, I never. And there was never an approach, or I never had any conversations about moving provinces. Again, I was reading Rory Best autobiography there last few days since it came out, and I didn't realize that Leinster made an approach to him. It was Michael Cheika whenever he was moving on, so he would have been going to Leinster the time whenever Schmidt arrived, and then that was the start of that kind of golden era, which is still going on today, I suppose, really, with a little bit of a dip for a couple of years, but. Can you imagine the amount of Rory would have been sitting with highly decorated Irish international, but also lots of domestic stuff, lots of European Cups.
And he would have been beside Cian Healy and Ty Furlong as well, which would have been amazing.
Formidable front row, ridiculous front row. Yeah, but anyway, these things happen, you know, and Rory mightn't have become the person he became or the leader he became
Very true.
had he not had a little bit more adversity. You know, a few difficult times at Ulster where he had to dig deep and show a little bit more leadership, and maybe that developed the character that, you know, we all know who Rory is and the impact he's had on anybody around him. Maybe that's because of, you know, if he had it all laid on and if it was just win non-stop for Leinster, then he mightn't have had to dig deep and develop that character. But yeah, I find that interesting. I always find it interesting to see what's going on behind the scenes with guys and clubs chatting to guys, and there'll be a few surprises out there. Certainly that was one. And I know Rory wouldn't regret that for a minute, because he's an Ulster man through and through, and we're obviously very proud of him as well.
Just on Rory Best there, obviously you played under some fantastic captains, both for Ulster and Ireland. Where would he rate in the best captains you've ever played under?
Oh, he's right up there. I think what he's accomplished in the last few years, and how he's managed to squeeze performances. You know, he's 30. Is he 37 now?
Yeah.
And right up until the end, he was still going strong. And he was, throughout his career, he's had to build on other aspects of his game that he felt like, you know, as you get a little bit older, then you lose a little bit of that dynamic kind of leg drive, or the ability to carry a ball or offload. That wasn't a big strength of his, so he had to develop other strengths and leaderships and what he communicates to the team. And he led by example more often than not, but also he was happy to put his hand up and call people out and demand standards. So it's the same way you would describe O'Driscoll, O'Connell, Johnny Sexton, all the big names, all the big leaders that we know. But there's just slight subtleties and differences in the way they go about it. And it's hard to describe until you actually just see these guys in action. But those guys have one thing in common, and whenever they speak, people listen, and they follow them onto the pitch, and they follow them in whatever they're directing them to do. So they get the best out of their teammates, and Rory was certainly one that did that.
Yeah, so respect is earned, not given as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Rory. I think whenever if you think about, like, you know, a famous story about Rory is whenever I think it was the All Blacks in it was the All Blacks in Dublin. I think it was, Rory broke his arm, and then he went to clear out a ruck straight after, and it was just autopilot. He just knew what he had to do for the team, and that was clearing out a ruck with a broken arm. And then he went off with his arm in a sling. So if you know that someone's prepared to do that for you, then you're prepared to give a lot more. And certainly we knew what he was prepared to do, so we give a lot more back as well.
He really, really was a fantastic captain. I almost think as time goes on, he'll almost be underrated in terms of captain, almost just because he followed O'Connell and O'Driscoll. There may be sort of slightly sexier captains in a way in terms of their name. I think Rory's thing almost is that because he was such a leader by example, you know, when you're sitting at home on the couch, you don't see all the hard work in the background that he puts in, and he doesn't seem as verbal as the others would have. But look, that man led Ireland to Grand Slam, Six Nations titles. You know what I mean? And for me, like, he'll always be one of the best hookers the country's ever seen. He's probably up there with Keith Wood, really. And like, some people might think that's a bit controversial to say, but like, Rory Best got the job done.
Yeah, I don't think that's controversial at all. I think obviously Keith Wood was a massive part of Irish rugby and a big turning point in Irish rugby as well. Where like professionalism had just come in, and he kind of managed to make Irish rugby professionalism, or he certainly played his part. So no one's discounting what Keith Wood has done. And I'm sure Rory would say this, he's an iconic Irish hooker and Irish leader and Irish captain. But equally, you can look at what Rory's done, and you know, he's the first and the second Irish captain to ever beat the All Blacks. First Irish captain to ever beat South Africa in South Africa. First Irish captain to ever beat the big three, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, in one calendar year. Grand Slam 2018 captain, and then being part of the Grand Slam 2009. It goes on and on. Like, he's accomplished so much, and as you say, he's accomplished it with a slightly lower profile than maybe O'Driscoll and O'Connell. So there's a lot to be said for that. And he hung in there and managed to manipulate his game and contribute what he can from a personal perspective as well as what he was doing from the team. But yeah, I think he'll be remembered very, very fondly in Irish rugby.
Yeah, and now that he's left Ulster Rugby, and so have yourself, maybe he's left a bit of a void there in terms of leadership. Ulster seem to be doing very well this season. I think they're second in their sort of standings in the Pro 14. How do you see Ulster Rugby kicking on now after Rory's left? I think Ian Madigan's coming over next year. Do you think that will fill a void that Paddy Jackson left?
Yeah, I think so. That, at 10, Billy Burns has gone really well for Ulster. And with that kind of 9-10 partnership, it's been handy for Billy that someone like John Cooney stepped up and he's provided a lot of direction there, and a lot of the play kind of goes through Cooney. So that little pairing has worked well. More generally, Dan McFarland's had a big impact. Dwayne Peel, Dan Sober, all these guys I think have added a lot in terms of what's going on at Ulster Rugby. You can see a massive turnaround. I was concerned that last year, almost because things have been so poor for a couple of years, I thought that maybe McFarland's first year, it's the 1 year that you get a little bit of a gimme and you don't have to achieve too much almost. But they played so well all season. They got to the quarterfinal. They really were the best team on the pitch whenever they got beat by Leinster at the Aviva. Produced a massive, big performance, but again, fell short. But getting to that stage and competing with the best team in Europe was a big step up. So I think as a result, then I don't think Dan McFarland or the rest of the Ulster coaching staff or the team for that matter I don't think they would get the same grace period if they're a victim of their own success. They've got to that level. So now everybody expects, supporters and everything expect them to continually get to that level. So it's a shame that what's happened this season, because going to Toulouse would have been a great challenge for that Ulster side. And the way they were going, a little bit of a dip there. They got beat by Ospreys, a couple of months ago away from home, which was a bit of a shame, stalled their momentum a little bit. But in Europe, they've been incredible. Yeah. And Europe, I think the Pro 14 is great and all. And it's, there's just not the same pressure that there is in the Premiership. From Ulster's point of view, it's all about Europe. And they're getting the quarterfinal and they're getting the chance to impress. So, it's a real shame, but I think Ulster are kicking on nicely and showing like they're starting to be able to compete with the big boys in Europe. But competing with them's grand. We've done that for years. We've always just every now and again, we've beaten Leinster at the RDS. We beat Munster in Thomond, but we've never done it regularly. And we've rarely done it. We've done it once in a knockout stage or a big game, and that was in 2012, the quarterfinal away at Thomond. So Ulster have never done it consistently. They've never been taken seriously. And to be taken seriously, you either have to do it on a big stage, knockout, or you have to do it consistently. And Ulster have never done that. So over the next couple of years, we'll get to find out if they've really turned the corner.
Yeah. Andrew, who do you think's been Ulster's most standout player as well this year?
John Cooney's been incredible. He just looks like he's thriving. He looks like his tail's up, playing with so much confidence, and he just looks like he's enjoying Belfast. Marcel Coetzee, you can say what you want about decision makers and the subtlety and deception and keeping your width and playing with pace and all that creative stuff is great. Let's get creative. Let's get teams defensively chasing their tails. Let's be really clever and outsmart teams. Fine, but let's win a gain line. And you know how you win a gain line? Marcel Coetzee, he's just incredible. And you cannot win a rugby match without someone who wins gain lines. Marcel Coetzee and Stuart McCluskey are the two guys who do it for Ulster. So for me, Cooney for his creativity, and the two big fellas, McCluskey and Coetzee.
I actually think McCluskey was unlucky not to get into the Six Nations, starting 15 at 12, and then I feel like if it wasn't for it's almost like you can't have Sexton without Murray. John Cooney was the in-form 9 going into the Six Nations, and I thought like maybe he was going to actually get that start as well. I thought they were both unlucky not to get picked.
Yeah, I think they were. I think they were both very unlucky. I think they just need to get lucky. They just need to get a break and perform well. neither of them. I think Cooney came off the bench. I don't know what game it was, but we saw him for about 10 minutes, and we saw like the Six Nations, the test match version of the European form that he's been doing all year. Now, it's like a different game playing, maybe not so much European, but playing Pro 14 is like a different game from playing international. But European even is still closer to that than it is international. It's a different style of game, more physical, less time, more of an arm wrestle, proper test match stuff. And whenever it comes to that, it becomes a lot of the strengths of Murray, his kicking game, his ability to manage the game. And I thought we saw just little glimpses of Cooney doing that really well. And if he can do that, and if he can get 60 minutes, or if he gets a start where Murray's unfit, or whatever happens, if he gets a break and he can prove that he can do that, which I'm pretty confident he can, then I think that's it. Then Andy Farrell will go, right, now I trust you. Now it's time to put a bit of faith in you. Same for McCluskey. For me, he's branched out and he's added so much to his game. He's just so unlucky that there are about 5 world-class centres in Ireland. Gary Ringrose is the first name down. Chris Farrell's incredible, and he's got a lovely balance. A little bit like kind of what I was going to say about McCluskey, just adding to his game. He's got lovely subtlety of hand, lovely skills, but serious leg drive as well and contact. Bundy Aki, really good defensively, but really good with ball in hand as well. Links very well. Yeah. Robbie Henshaw, it just the list is endless, and I think it's just so unlucky for Stu that any other country Stu would be getting loads of game time, but it just so happens that back row and centre are where Ireland are really, really strong, and he's been a victim of that.
Yeah. Just before we actually probably get into the Irish team, if we could round up your Ulster rugby experience, what would be like your biggest highlight for playing for Ulster rugby?
For Ulster, I kind of touched on it there, but 2012 we got to the European Cup final, and that was a season where everything clicked. Unfortunately, we met a Leinster side that were absolutely humming. They were in their prime. It was proper Joe Schmidt territory, where if they get the ball, they go through phase after phase after phase, and you never get the ball back. And there's something in you. Whenever they got the ball, you just know they're going to score 3 points or 5 points or 7 points, and there's nothing we can do about it. And there's something devastating about that. So that mindset broke us a little bit, and Leinster were just so good. It's probably the best Leinster side I've ever seen, apart from maybe the last season. They've been doing something similar under Stuart Lancaster, but for me, that season was one of those ones where everything ticked for us, and we just we were just winning big games, winning European games. We managed to qualify away from home, Thomond Park in the quarterfinal, and we beat Munster. And it was just one of those memories. I look back and think we rarely, if ever else, did it. And that was one of the ones where I kind of cherish. We went into the Lions' Den and beat them. Like when do you ever see? Probably back in the day, not so much nowadays. It's not as much of a fortress, but for a period of time, no one went to Thomond in Europe and got a win, and we did it. So that was a big highlight, and we beat Edinburgh in the semi-final. Don't know how Edinburgh managed to get to the semi-final, but for us, and then we got our pants pulled down by a far better side in the final in Leinster. But that season for me was a big memory, a big highlight.
Yeah, in fairness, Munster are a bit like your beloved Liverpool at Anfield. You know what I mean? They're a tough team to beat at home. But tell us this, Andrew. What is who is the best player you've played against in an Ulster jersey, and who's the best player you played against in an Ireland jersey?
For Ireland, best player I ever played against was Mills Miliaina from New Zealand. He made his way to
fullback.
He made his way to Galway and signed for Connacht for a couple of years. I'm not sure I ever played against him, but he was kind of past his best at that stage. But something very, very special about him. Best player I ever played against with Ulster. Probably it could be any of the stars, and it could well have been Tommy Bowe. Actually, it could have been the best team that we ever played against was Leinster that day, and Johnny was pulling the strings, so Johnny would be up there, and then Saracens, the best side that we never beat them in any knockout stage. We played them four or five times and always got beat. And for them, it was always Vunipola, Owen Farrell. So Vunipola, Owen Farrell, Otoji, Johnny Sexton. They're the best players I've ever played.
Maybe that's Harrison's wage bill. You'd be just as good as them as well, you know.
Yeah. I'd say they're probably the only ones that are actually happy enough with the season being cancelled.
Yeah, definitely.
Things weren't going well for them. They were hating their lives anyway, so they were just going, please be a global pandemic, and then we can get on with our lives in the championship next year.
Yeah. Then Andrew, you made your debut for Ireland in 2005. That's correct, is it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's that against, and where was that exactly?
That was against Australia at the old Lansdowne Road.
No messing. In with the big boys straight away.
In with the big boys, yeah. And I was a youngster. I just turned 21, and I was playing 13. Strangely, played 13 for about a year.
They're like, put that guy in. He looks like a bit like Brian O'Driscoll.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So this was the autumn after the summer where where Brian got dumped on his head, on his shoulder with the Lions, by Umanga and Milani, whatever his name is, and so he was out. So I got my opportunity to play 13, and I obviously knew how big a star Brian Driscoll was. So I was feeling the pressure as it was, and in the run up to the game, when I was selected at 13, you know, I obviously felt like I had big shoes to fill. But in the run up to the game, there was a fire in the terrace on one end at the old Lansdowne Road. So the structures were insecure, so they didn't allow any spectators in. So instead of filling that with spectators, they put a massive banner of O'Driscoll on the terrace on one end. So I was already feeling the heat because I had to play 13 and replace O'Driscoll. So even more so, it was just a big reminder. This is who should really be playing 13. So good luck. And then, as you say, the big boys was playing against Lottie Takiri, and this is back in
monster of a winger.
Yeah. Well, he was playing 13 at the time.
Oh, was he playing? Oh, you were playing. He was your opposite number on the day.
Yeah. And I only realised that actually. I remember I was playing against him. Couldn't remember if he was 13 or on the wing. My dad sent me. We did this promotion for Pro 14 for Premier Sport. And it was show us your shirts. And Dad sent me a picture of the display in my mum and dad's hall at home, and it's my jersey and Lottie Takiri's jersey. And Chris Latham was playing that day.
Stephen
Larkham, yeah, I think he was playing.
George Gregan still knocking about.
Maybe. Drew Mitchell. I'd love to go back actually and see exactly what that team was, but I remember Chris Latham specifically. Latham and Lottie Takiri came over to me after the game, and Takiri went, "Oh, first test, congratulations, delighted for you." So sound of the both of them. And they were heroes of mine. I was like, these guys are legends. Whenever I was a youngster watching them play, they both came over. Latham was like, you know, congratulations, great first test, happy days, well done. And Takiri then took off his jersey and gave me it, and I went to give him mine. He said, "No, hold on to it. Don't be silly." So that I've got both of them displayed up in mum and dad's house at home. So really nice introduction. Straight on the deep end, like physically in terms of rugby. A tough introduction into international rugby, but kind of off the pitch, a really nice way and an appreciation of how big a moment that was for me in my career, in my life, and my family, and all. So lovely touch from them boys.
Were your when were you told that you were going to be in the starting lineup?
It would have been probably Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday I'd be selected.
Yeah, did all your friends and family come up to watch?
Or come down? Everyone. Yeah, everyone come down. And it was a big moment.
Yeah, that must have been amazing.
And who were you partnered with on the day in the centre?
Gordon Darcy.
Oh, well, at least had an experienced man on the inside, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would have been Stringer, O'Gara, Darcy, myself, Tommy in one wing.
Shaggy?
Yeah, Shaggy or Dennis. Probably Shaggy, I think. And then Jordan Murphy at 15.
Nice some team when you think back about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Tommy Bowe was only saying, or Tommy, as we refer to him as, the Argo mate, was only saying that Jordan Murphy's one of the best players he's ever played with.
He's certainly be up there, all right. Very, very talented. And Tommy and I probably both got an appreciation of that when we were youngsters, just coming in there and just seeing how skillful he is, and some of the stuff he's doing, some of his little trick shots. Very, very creative and very far ahead of his time. He was something else, and it was nice to play with him. And great lad as well. Great. He was very, very good at letting the young fellas feel welcome, feeling like we're a part of it, and feeling like we're a part of the team. And it was nice to have him there.
Yeah, you then actually went on to be part of 2 World Cup squads as well in 2007 and 2011. Which one did you have a better experience in?
Oh, 2011 by a mile. Okay. 2007 was famously just the World Cup that never really got going. Our whole prep was poor. Where we were staying was poor. The food was poor, and everybody just felt like they wanted to get home. Our performances were poor. Argentina were on fire. France were on fire, and then we just got hammered in both of those games. We very nearly got beat by Georgia. And then 2011 was just a different world altogether. I went to New Zealand. We spent a few days finding our feet and seeing the sights and doing lots of fun stuff down in Queenstown. Then every few days they kept us busy, kept us occupied, kept us stimulated and excited and enjoying the novelty of a World Cup, enjoying each other's company. And then that kind of all culminated in whenever we beat Australia in Eden Park. And then we got beat by Wales, obviously, in the quarterfinal. But that World Cup was so much more positive and so much more fun to be at. I was on the bench the whole World Cup, really, which was a little bit disappointing for me because I felt like I was playing well. But it was just one of those things. I was still enjoying being part of it, and I knew we were performing pretty well. It was disappointing in the end that we got beat by Wales in that quarterfinal, because that would have been a nice opportunity to kick on. I think Wales got beat by France then in the semi-final. That was the game where someone got red carded in that game. I don't know if this rings a bell, but anyway, that was that game. So would have been a nice way to go, but it wasn't to be. But still a great experience being at that World Cup 2011.
Yeah.
And sorry, Andrew, just while we have you, I just wanted to ask you about the current squad we have. As someone who was versatile, I know you alluded that you were on the bench for the majority of the World Cup. Do you think sometimes if you are versatile as a back and can play in a few different positions, there's a higher chance you might end up on the bench just because, you know what I mean, they're like, oh, we put Trimble on the bench, he can play either centre or wing. Do you think that, goes into the factor in selection?
It can do. It can definitely go against you. People talk, it's a nice, he's a useful number 23 or number 22 it used to be back then. But yeah, it's a shame that's thought of. I think most coaches would be sensible enough, and they think, well, he may be better at 3 or 4 positions, but he's better at all those than that guy or that guy. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of a shame that's considered the case. But the other thing is, it's nice to bring someone off the bench to add a bit of impact. People talk about finishers nowadays, and the importance of guys on the bench has gone through the roof now. And someone to come on the last half hour, you can do a lot more in that half hour than you can do in the first 50 sometimes, because the game loosens up, and guys coming on with fresh legs can add a little bit. Especially if we've got a little bit of X factor as well, but I never really had much X factor, so I didn't have to think about that too much. But yeah, it's a shame. There's guys like that, and they probably miss out on a bit of rugby from it.
And when you look at the current sort of wingers that Ireland have, you obviously have Conway, you have Stockdale, you have Earls, and maybe even Jacob Lowe coming into the second half this year. I think he'll be eligible to play for Ireland. Who do you think starts for Ireland now, those 4?
Yeah. There's a lot of competition now. Andrew Conway's flying this year, and it's great to see someone like him, because he showed a lot of promise early on with Leinster, and I'm not sure what happened. Why we spoke to him in the podcast a while back about this, but he always was a fan of Munster rugby, so he shot down the road when he got the chance, and really it became home for him, became his home province very, very quickly. He settled in very well. Conway's flying at the minute. And he's worked really hard to get back into the picture, and he's showed a lot of consistency. So I think he deserves to get credit for that. But then you look at guys like Jacob Stockdale. Again, a little bit of a dip in form, but still, he's still a guy who scored bags and bags of tries. You know, the try he scored at Twickenham, the try he scored against the All Blacks, he's accomplished massive things, and he'll only get better as well as he gets more mature and more experience. As you say, James Lowe, that's going to be fascinating to see how he fits in. He's a real crowd favorite, isn't he? He's a guy,
big time.
You always hear about sometimes journalists would be kind of outspoken about foreigners coming over and then qualifying for Ireland. He'll be an interesting one because sometimes journalists have given off about guys, but James Lowe is a guy that everyone loves. So it'll be a tough case to make for anybody to be disappointed by him being involved. First of all, because of the character he is, everybody just loves him, but also what he does on the pitch. He's got a serious X factor and he adds a lot. And sometimes you could be inclined to think that a little bit of X factor is exactly what Ireland need, because they've got a lot of structure and a lot of consistent performers doing their jobs, like just doing really, really good jobs, but nothing remarkable. You add James Lowe into the mix there, and he could do something special. So I think I used to find it in pre-season, you'd look around you and you go, there's about 5 or 6 wingers here. This is going to be tricky. The first selection is going to be a nightmare. But it always balances out. It's never as bad as you think. Someone will be injured. Someone will be out of form. It's rarely you'll have to say to a winger like Jacob Stockdale or James Lowe or Andrew Conway, listen, today it's not going to happen. It might happen.
Don't forget about Earlsey as well.
Earlsey, of course. Forgot. Yeah, did you mention Earlsey there? Did you?
Yeah.
They're the four standout wingers.
Yeah.
Earlsey's done it over and over again. I don't know.
Mr. Consistent.
Oh, he's incredible, and playing with him and against him for so long, I've got an appreciation of what he does. He's so reliable, and reliable sounds almost like a slur, like a boring, but he's not reliable boring. He's reliable with the X factor as well. So
never said the attitude.
Yeah, exactly. They've got 4 class wingers there to pick from.
And I just want to touch on James Lowe, because I actually think he makes me laugh sometimes, because the socks are down around the ankles, and sometimes when he's running with the ball, he looks like he doesn't really care, if that makes sense. He makes it look so effortless. I just think when he comes into the picture, you know what I mean? He's putting all the other wingers on notice, because he's phenomenal in the Pro 14 and the European Cup. Yeah.
He's incredible. I don't know what it is about him. He's got something about him that people warm to. There's something whenever he gets confrontational and aggressive with people on the pitch, even off the ball, and there's a bit of shirt grabbing or whatever's going on. He's still smiling. He's enjoying himself. He's enjoying being out there. And there's
is it the Ronaldinho factor?
What?
Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho, everyone just loved him. It was that was just it.
Yeah, exactly. That's just it. They love him. But to be fair, he's not just a character. He's not he's not just a character who's good in press conferences. He's incredible on the pitch, and he's single-handedly won games for Leinster as well. So he's got everything going for him. But you're right, he's a crowd favourite. I remember seeing a tweet from one of the guys from Second Captain saying James Lowe should be on a retainer from the Pro 14, because whenever he plays, people want to watch. And it's great to have characters like that in the game.
No, I don't want to hear the Ronaldinho rugby on the next House of Rugby podcast, right?
I'm gonna steal that one. Yeah.
I love it.
Usually we ask people what was their biggest highlight representing Ireland, but it must be winning the Grand Slam for Ireland for yourself.
Oh well, I won a championship in 2014, but I never won a Grand Slam. The Grand Slam 2009 and 2018. So. It was
championship series, excuse me.
Yeah, so the championship was definitely a massive highlight for me. I mentioned there my best years for Ireland were towards the end of my career. 2014, going to Paris, beating France and winning the championship over there. It was incredible to be a part of that, and that's almost a little bit why I feel I'm so pleased to see Andrew Conway going well, because he's took a long time to get his foot in the door, to get established. And finally, then he's got there and he looks confident. He looked like every game that he's played, the Six Nations until it was cancelled, it just looked like he was getting better and better. So that's how I kind of felt. It took me a long time to get in there, to feel established or to feel like I was a part of it. And then that was kind of that all came to a head in Paris in 2014. Whenever I just felt great. I just felt like I was really, really in the middle of everything that was going well with the team, and it was just class to be involved in an occasion like that. Then we kicked on. That was a massive highlight. Going to South Africa 2016 on tour and winning down in Cape Town was incredible. Winning with 14 men was amazing. And then the autumn after that, beating New Zealand in Chicago was a massive occasion, and it was incredible. And I always think you do remember the occasions, but you don't remember them necessarily because of the stat or the whatever it was, the data or the win or whatever, first win in however long. You remember the occasions because of the people that you shared them with, and the team was filled with great lads at the time. And for me, it was just good to have such good memories of people.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely incredible, Andrew. Andrew, thanks so much for all your time. You're a brilliant guest to have on. I know you don't like the word legend, but you are an Irish rugby legend, my friend. You really, really are. We loved having you on. Barry, anything to add?
No, I was just going to say, Andrew, thanks a million for coming on. I'm really, really enjoying the podcast you're putting out as well. So for people tuning in, if they haven't checked out Andrew's podcast, it's absolutely brilliant. It's just great crack.
Good man, Barry. Thanks for having me, Roscoe. You boys keep firing away, keep smashing through the podcast and keeping people entertained. It's a tough time out there, and everybody's reliant on you fellas for a little bit of something interesting, something entertaining, and keeping people's mind off the reality of what's going on outside there.
We do try.
Keep up the good work, fellas.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for all the kind words. Make sure to like, subscribe, and as always, stay energized.
Stay energized.